Hey, everybody. So we're going to talk a little bit here about Essay 2. So please go into the essay assignment prompts and pull up Essay 2 here. We'll go over it together. Um, so it's a critical review of a film. 1,250 words, again, MLA format. Again, you can use that document that is in the writing resources folder, I believe. It just says MLA template, and just use that to start your paper. You'll be on the right track. You're going to analyze a specific film, and you're going to engage in critical dialogue with what other critics have said about the same film. So this paper is going to require you to find at least 2 credible external sources and incorporate those ideas of those critics into your paper by quoting their words. And there's going to be another video on the research process that I'd like you folks to go through for this paper. There's actually going to be a research component for each of Essay 2 and Essay 3. It's kind of like a free writing exercise for research, although it's much more structured. The thing that we're going to write are these things called rhetorical précis, which is kind of a pretentious way to say just sort of like this little condensed research response. Kind of like an annotated bibliography, but a little different. The reason I have you do those before you turn in your paper is because the research should help inform your writing process. Research is not just something we do at the end of the writing process to plug things in. Research is something that helps us shape the process. So, with this paper, your thesis is going to be the argument, the claim that you're making about the film. Your thesis, again, should answer this question: what do you argue is significant about this film, and why is it significant? So again, just like the song lyrics example, if you were writing this paper to someone who's seen this film 50 times, and they think they know everything about it, how would your paper add something new to their appreciation of the film? It's my dog shaking again. So another thing to think about is your research about what other critics have already said about your film can help you frame the argument your paper is going to make. So look at these examples. While many critics argue correctly that Bridesmaids expands the genre of physical comedy by portraying women's bodies in unfeminine situations, they ignore the fact that the film's portrayal of men remains stereotypically narrow. So you're adding something to the ongoing conversation that's been going on about Bridesmaids. People are talking about this part about the women's bodies, but they're not showing how the men still look dopey. You ever notice that? And big thing now is in comedies, men always have to look like idiots. And maybe men are idiotic in a lot of ways, but they're always especially idiotic in comedies. Or another example, critic so-and-so, X, decried David Spade's performance in Joe Dirt as sophomoric and idiotic. But this critic fails to see how the film's subtle family drama reveals an uplifting coming-of-age story. So again, everybody's saying this about the film, and you're going to add something new to it. It's a way to think about how to enter the conversation about this film. So here's some general approaches to help you get you started in your thinking about the claim your paper will make. And these are the kind of things you can sort of think about when you do your focused free write. What cultural issues does the film engage with? If it's Brokeback Mountain, for example, it's a film about same-sex attraction. And what's interesting about that from a period of Kairos is that at the time was somewhat contemporary. The place was, rural West, and the audience was, they're cowboys. So that's a particular Kairos where that sort of situation is even more charged. Okay, genre, or still, what story is the film telling, and why is it controversial or significant? Do different people respond differently or similar to this film? Going back to Brokeback Mountain, folks who are championing, same-sex marriage, or at the very least a society that's more tolerant of alternative sexualities, saw that film as a brave, groundbreaking depiction, a beautiful depiction of a different type of love that's not socially acceptable in certain circumstances, for sure. Still, others who have a different take on that might have been offended, and they might have been even more offended because it was sort of a Western, and the Western signifies this classic rugged American male, and these guys were rugged American males, but they were they signified differently sexuality, and that causes cognitive discord for some folks. Genre: what kind of film is it? Is it drama, comedy, sci-fi, western? How does it fit in with other films in the same genre? How does it stand apart? Well, going back to Brokeback Mountain, here's a film that's very much a western, sweeping panoramic views, men being, characters being alone, trying to find love in this kind of rugged terrain. But it's different because the love is two men and not a man and woman. The history. Films, this is an interesting one. Films have history, and they also reflect history, since they are created and exist in a given context. So what is going on in world events in the time period within the film? So if a movie comes out this year that's set in World War II, what's going on in World War II that this film is taking on? Or the other way to think about it is, what events are going on in the world now when the film is made? So why does a story about World War II, this particular story about World War II, why is it being told to this particular audience, us, now? Sorry, my dog is rolling around and making a lot of noise back there. Details. You got to find details when you're writing about film. How do specific details work in the film? What role do the use of particular colors or lighting or repeated language or special effects or location or whatever play within the film? I'm sorry. How do they convey meaning? And be sure you show, don't tell here when you refer to cinematic details. Quote dialogue. Use vivid descriptive language to make your readers feel your analysis of the film by appealing to their senses. All right, this is what's going on back here right now. Sorry. Narrative form. How's the story of this film put together? I'm thinking of Pulp Fiction or Memento or movies where the plot doesn't unfold in a logical order. Sometimes you don't quite know what order the film is going in. Music. How's music used in the film? How is sound used in the film? Is it an important feature or is it more marginal? A lot of ways you can think about movies. Movies are rich texts with a lot going on. Paper structure, similar to the structure for essay number 1. Again, we have a lot of resources in the writing resources folder on intros, body paragraphs, conclusions. And then there's going to be a separate video for the research guide for essays 2 and 3. And there's one last thing about this assignment. When writing about a film, there's this tendency to do it from memory. Yeah, I've seen Star Wars, and I don't need to look at it. I know what goes on. I cannot stress to you enough how much a mistake this is. When you write about film, you first must make a list of specific scenes you want to focus on. And then do not write about this film without simultaneously watching it at the same time. I'm going to repeat that for effect. Do not, stop it. Sorry. Do not write about this film if you're not actually looking at the film. You want to be, you want to have the scene that you want to write about on a screen. And you want to watch it over and over and rewind it. And you want to really pull those details out and really understand what they're saying. When students write about film, they love to say, well, then she says something about him about this. Don't tell me what they're saying. Show me what they're saying by quoting the words. It's a lot easier to show, don't tell when you're writing about a book because you can just pull the words out of the book. With a film, you got to do a lot more work. You got to transcribe it. You got to really look at what are they looking like? What was their body language like? What kind of sounds were going on? If you're not looking at the film you're writing about when you write this paper, your paper is not going to be very good. Take it from me. If you can't find a movie that you can watch while you, not just watch in the week that you're writing this paper, I'm talking about you have parts of it on while you're writing. If you can't do that, don't write about that film. I can't stress that enough, okay? And again, same thing as with the song. The critical review is not a place to expound about how much you love or hate the movie. In writing your review, you want to look analytically at the film, and then you want to weigh in with what other people are saying. And you're trying to add your voice and something new to the ongoing conversation that's taking place in the critical community around that film. So anyway, I hope that makes sense to you. Sorry for the dog rolling around, shaking, and making dog sounds that was going on. But good luck. I hope this paper goes well for you. Bye.